Hi everybody, welcome back. So today we will be working on the, should we call it a potion frame? As always, we will be working on an 8x8 20x20 centimetre box frame. I've just took my glass out, otherwise it's too reflective when I film this piece, but you know what size we use. As always, take out all your 3 pieces and we're going to concentrate on the back first. So as always, before you start gluing anything on, just make sure your tab is upright. Sounds crazy, but I've done it a couple of times, so I don't want you to make the same mistake. So the first 2 prints we're going to find is the back print with the lantern and the top print with the shelves. So we're going to use our PVA glue. Sorry, I had to grab that and pause the video. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to run my PVA glue right the way along here, and I'm going to use my bottom print, align it to the bottom as always, and attach that there. So once your first print is in place, I've just used my ruler and just run along just to make sure everything is flat. I think I've covered that before, but just in case I haven't, I've just covered it again. You will now need to find your second print, which has got your shelving on. This will overlap this print, so you will lose some of your print, but don't worry about that because it all blends in together once we have finished. So you're going to take this print now, align it to the top of your back piece, cover the whole thing in your PVA glue, and align that flat. Once you have popped on your top print and your bottom print, it should look something like this. Now don't be tempted, if you haven't gone further down with your glue, to pick this up and run your glue along, because we're going to add a shelf on this later on. You're going to get sort of like your overspill if you do that. So, you know, depending on how well your frame fits, you might just need to trim off any excess that you have. I've got none on this side and a little bit on this side. So I'm going to trim that off now. Let everything sort of dry, and then we're going to go on to the next piece. So I've just roughly trimmed the sides. So now what I'm going to do, and the good thing about this frame is the messier the better. It sounds crazy, but you'll know what I mean. You can obviously go ahead now and paint the inside of your frame. I'm going to do mine dark brown. But I'm going to pop everything on, click it all into place, and then I'm going to paint it while it's together. So all my frame is now popped into place. So if you want really neat edges, obviously as always you can paint the inner part and then the outer part of your frame. But like I say, you can get a little bit messy. You know, if you go on your edging of your print with your darker colour, it really does add to the effect. So I'm going to use some raw umber. This was from Art Studio and I purchased this from the range. I've now painted the inner part and the outer part of my frame. I did run my brush, just overlapped everything as you can see. So let's say you don't have to be neat with this, it just blends everything together. So I'm going to pop you onto my little shelving, and then we're going to do this shelf here. So you are now on my little shelving stand. We are now going to place a counter along here. Again, you can paint your sticks beforehand. However, I want it a little bit messy. So I'm going to place these on here, and then I'm going to paint it afterwards. Just kept hold of these because obviously you're upright. What I've done is I've just trimmed off both ends of my large lollipop sticks, stretched those over the top, and then just made a line where this jar is in the middle. That is going to give me a guide on where to cut for my first counter. So I've just trimmed this piece, and then taking the flat edge that we have just cut previously, I'm just going to align that over the top, stretch it over, and again, just make a mark where this joint ends. So you might want to pinch it and then make the mark underneath. So we now have 2 lollipop sticks. That is going to sit in line like this. So next what we want to do is join these pieces together. To join the sticks together, I have just used a smaller lollipop stick, just run my glue gun underneath. Place this on a flat surface, just like we did with the bakery frame. Push up your your stick, just so it's in line with the join. And then this sort of like creates a little bracket, and it stops all your glue spilling out the middle. So when you put your shelf in place, or counter, whatever we're going to call it, just align that to the bottom of this print here, and then everything else will inline. So I've just used my tacky glue. As you can see, it's still wet. Just going to let that dry a little bit, and then I'm going to paint it. Just move that up slightly. Like this. My counter is now got a little bit tacky. Again, you can paint yours beforehand if you want to. I just want a little bit of a messy edge, just like I've done around the edge. So again, I'm going to go in with the burnt umber, paint all the way along and underneath and on this rim. So I've now painted my counter, and as you can see, I literally just run my brush along the top as well, just to give that effect to match the inner part of my frame. So just before I start decorating this one that we're doing at the moment, I've just jumped in just to show you the previous one that I did. So all these prints are exactly the same. Everything has gone on. Obviously on the previous one we have just got up to this stage here. I just wanted to show you this before I add my other bits, like I say, onto the one that we are building now. So if you are wanting this design, like I say, all the prints are the same. It will work on this design and the one that we are building. Instead of putting my little counters here, which you're going to see on the next step, I've just took this top shelf and just glued a stick along there. I've took the 3 parts of the prints and again just used some sticks, and then I've also attached one on here. I've then gone ahead and folded all my boxes. Again, we're going to cover this later on. Added a cauldron at the bottom and a little book stack. So you can obviously layer it up all like this as well. We are going to be covering these little candles. So in this new kit we are building, like I say, everything is the same. Instead of using the smaller bottles that are going to go in the new kit, with this one, because I didn't have the smaller bottles at the time, these are just coloured glue sticks, again with the same stickers that you're going to get. So if you are wanting to build this design, that's where you're going to need to put your shelves. And then all the drip is just a glue gun, a coloured glue stick, just dripped over the top. So now I've covered that, we're now going to carry on with the frame. So this is what I mean if you don't want to pop these in. Like I say, everything is the same. I just want a slightly different design. So the extra pieces going in are these, which we're going to turn into a little cabinets. So what you need to do is just trim off this top piece here. And do the same with the other one. Flip this over. And run some tacky glue right the way along these squares. Then you're going to align these with the shelving print at the back. So your 3 squares should fit in line with the shelving print. You're going to do exactly the same with this one, just running your tacky glue along these squares. Just make sure that your box is shut. This is going to be the front section. That way it's just easier to push it onto your frame while the glue is still drying. So once they are in place, this is what they look like. So I've just flipped this front piece down because we're going to decorate inside here. I'm also going to add a couple of shelves in this middle section as well. So once it's dry, just flip these open. And then I'm just going to add 2 shelves here, just following these lines. These are easier to put in afterwards. You might want to trim them before. I did have a play about before I'd sort of like glued them on. I just found it a little bit easier because obviously you got the plastic inside, as you can see either side. So you might want to cut these beforehand or do it after, like me. So you'll only need 1 lollipop stick for this, which is your larger one. Just keep trimming it down. Obviously this has got a lip on it, so you'll just need to hook it inside. And then taking your extra piece of your lollipop stick, just going to align that there and then just trim that piece off with my scissors. That will then give you your 2 guides for your shelves. So because obviously, you know, we can go as messy as we like, you can paint these beforehand. Again, it's completely up to you. I'm just going to paint mine afterwards because I don't mind some of the colour, just like I've done previously, just getting on my print slightly. You can obviously use your glue gun as well because it doesn't matter if it spills out. Again, it's just going to add to the effect. So I'm going to use my glue gun for this. Obviously, if you want yours a little bit neater, then you can just run your tacky glue along there. I've just used my glue gun just to attach these shelves. As you can see, this lip goes over the top of the shelf, so it helps to support these as well. So if you are painting these afterwards like me, you will just need to tip your brush on the inner part of here. So I'm just going to go messy. You know, I don't even mind it if it comes on the cabinet either. So I'm just going to paint those just with the burnt umber that I've been using throughout this build. So my paint is still wet. Like I say, I've gone really rough all over. I've then gone around my plastic as well, just while I had the paint out. I haven't touched the front piece yet because obviously we've got to fill all this in, but this is going to click over the top. So we are going to add some shading on this later on, just so it all blends in. So I'm just going to let that dry for a little bit. We're going to build some little bits and pieces while that is drying. We're going to start with the bottles first. Now this is probably going to be the biggest kit you've got with all these extra bits and pieces. So you will find a sticker sheet. You will just have to trim these off. So there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. You will get 12 small bottles, which don't come with corks. I'm absolutely now lathered in brown paint. And then you will also get 2 this size. So your stickers will fit either or. So what you'll need to do now is just trim all your little stickers off your little sheet. So I've just trimmed all my stickers. Like I say, on the previous one, these jars was not available at the time, so you might want to use some little coloured glue sticks as well and just wrap your stickers. It's completely up to you, but you'll have enough bottles to go with your stickers. So now what you want to do is just go ahead, read out what these little bits and pieces say, peel off the back, and then these are going to go over your jars like this. So you can fill these with all sorts. What I'm going to do is maybe use the little resins, pop the resin inside, maybe use some glitter and use my cocktail stick inside and set that. So I'll show you a few. I'm going to leave these larger bottles for later because I want all these in the shelving that we have just built. Just grab some glitters. Now if you don't have a lot of glitter, I think there's a pack of 12 in the range. Also you can use these bottles as well. I think they're a similar size. I think they're only like $1.99 or something like that, and there's loads of different colours. You can get them in bigger packs as well, so you don't have to go out and buy a load of glitter. You can purchase these, like I say, from the range. So I'm going to use this UV resin. You will obviously need your torch. I'm just going to push everything over, just so I don't get resin all over my prints. I'm going to start with these little stars. Like I say, you can go ahead, read what your labels say, and then pop your labels on to whatever matches. So I'm just going to make up a few, and then I'm going to pick the labels out. So these are the little tiny stars. Like I say, they come in a kit from the range. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my UV resin inside my jar. So I'm just going to squirt it down like this. Sprinkle some stars in or glitter, whatever you've chosen. And then taking a cocktail stick, I'm just going to push these inside. Mix all the resin, like say you can be as messy as you like with this frame. Obviously my sticker's going to go on the front, so I don't want to put too much to the front, otherwise it's just going to cover it all. And then just taking your torch, I'm just going to set this now. Depending on how much resin you've put in, it might take a little bit longer. It will set over time as well, especially when the sun gets on it. So let me just set this. So it took about, I don't know, 2 minutes or so just to set it. The resin is now dry inside my bottle. So because these don't come with corks, I don't think I'm going to add any extras on top of mine. You can get some mini beads and glue these on the top as well. If you are wanting to sort of like seal it, especially if you haven't put your resin in and you don't have this resin and you just want glitter inside, you can pop your glitter inside and use your clear PVA glue. Obviously it's going to take a little bit longer to dry. You can then use your glue gun, attach the inside and then just push that down. That will create a little stopper for the top for anything that you've got loose, like polyballs or whatever you want to use. So let's do another one with glitter. So again, I'm just going to pop my resin inside. I'm going to go for this blue this time. Sprinkle that inside. You can use pigments, you can also use paint. I'm going to show you a paint version as well in a second. And then again, just taking your cocktail stick, you are now going to mix this inside your resin. Obviously, the more resin you put in, the fuller your bag is going, your little jar is going to be. So you might want to set it. Oh, let me bring you down a little bit. You might want to set this with your torch and then go back in with your UV resin. So let me show you that method. Just so we've covered everything. So just set this. Like I say, I do like all this overspill as well. If you want the little overspill, just drag your cocktail stick over the top while you've still got some glitter attached. So that should now be set. And then you can go back in with your resin. Fill up your jar. And then set that. My batteries are running really low. So I'm just going to give that a couple of minutes just to set. Like I say, my batteries are not very bright, so it's going to take a little bit longer. I will change my batteries. So this one is now also set. So we've done 2 so far. And then I'm just going to show you the paint method, and then I'm going to carry on and then just sort of like fill out the jars as long as I've covered everything. So I've grabbed the first colour that come to hand, which is purple. So this is just acrylic paint. Going to use my resin again. Like I say, if you don't have resin, you can use your clear PVA glue. Just make sure that you set these to the side to dry. Otherwise, if you tip it over, it's all going to spill out. So I'm going to just now dip in with my cocktail stick into my paint. These are so much fun because you can do so many different variations of these. I'm going to go into my resin and I'm just going to go really messy, start dragging it up. And then again, you can set this and then go over the top with your resin if you want to. This camera's terrible for going out of focus. But this goes sort of like more or less clear. Just going to drag some resin over the top while it's on my cocktail stick. So I'm just going to set that. And then I'm going to fill it up again with resin and then set it again. So that's how this one turned out. I love that little air bubble inside as well. So everything is dried. That's how the acrylic paint sits. So what I'm going to do now is carry on with all my jars, filling them with loads of bits and pieces that I can find, and then I'll be back. All my jars are now filled, and I've just peeled off my stickers and stuck those to the front. I've kept these two blank along with my 2 extra stickers. I will use the same method. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to put in these yet. So let's bring the main frame back in. We are now back onto the main frame, just to add our little jars that we have just created. You will also find 2 poison cardstocks and 2 witch cardstocks as well. You will also get a small piece of webbing to make your cobwebs, so you can obviously, we're going to use this later on to tease. So keep that to hand as well, because you might want to fill out the inner part of your little shelving. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead with all my little jars, just use my glue gun and attach these inside these pieces here and these pieces here. So before you add all your webbing and your little cardstock that I have just showed you, you are best getting your bottles in first. So just to show you what I've done is I've glue gunned the bottom of my little jars. I've used my glue gun again for everything that you're going to see, with my poison sign and the little witch sign. I've added some webbing as well. So I'm just going to show you this piece. I've just run my glue gun just underneath that sign, just so it sits upright. And then taking your glue gun, you'll need a little tool, because obviously it's going to burn your fingers. Just pop your glue inside wherever you want your little webbing. So I'm going to put some here, blob it there, take a little tool, anything will do, just to stop you burning your fingers. And then I'm going to tap that down there and then just cut off this excess. Once you've trimmed off your excess, again, just pop a little bit of glue on this inner part here, using your tool, whatever you have chosen. Just tuck that over the top. I'm just going to use some more webbing just on this inner part here. So again, I'm just going to use a blob of my glue gun, taking a tool and just attach that over there. It just fills out this little gap here. And then to go in this corner, I'm just going to use my last poison sign. Just going to place some glue gun just on this lip here and align that over the top. So that little sign is now in place, and can you see I've got quite a bit of excess over here. So what I'm going to do is just use my tool, drag that down, just place a little bit of glue gun on this piece here. Then I'm going to fold that down over my glue. I've managed to get my glue gun into shot. This is the one that you take the cord off. Don't last long, so I had to do that quick. So just tap everything down. So you can go ahead now and fill out all your other shelving if you want to. So I might add a little bit more down here. Again, just using my glue gun and just sort of like popping that into that corner before I flip my fronts on and create the little handles. So I've now just flipped these shut. And then for the handle, what I've done is I've just got a wooden dowel. I've just painted some of it. And what I'm going to do is just measure it, trim it off, just so the handle sort of sits here somewhere. And then obviously align the other one. To attach this, I'm going to use my tacky glue. Obviously your glue gun will melt this plastic. So you're best using your tacky glue for this. So again, I'm going to have to measure these out, lay my frame flat, pop some tacky glue on the back, and then I'm just going to let those dry. Once that's drying, I've just flipped you down. You will find 3 larger books in your kit, so we're going to do these next. I will show you how to build one, and then you can obviously use the same method to build your others. So let's just take this one. Just going to fold it along the spine. And this one as well. So again, they've all got little spines on them. We have got some smaller books as well to build, which we're going to do later on. This now gives you your book shape. So to make your book 3D, you can obviously use a strip of cardboard or cardstock. Just measure the width here, cut yourself a long strip, and then what you will need to do is glue this on as a backwards C, pop some glue over the top and then fold your book in. That will give you your little 3D effect inside, but we will be using a small lollipop stick for this build. Taking your small lollipop stick, you don't have to cut the end if you don't want to. I just want mine a little bit more rounded. So we're going to place that inside the book like this. You are then just going to sort of like mark it a few mil from where the book closes, because you don't want this right on the edge here. So we just need to go further in. So just as a guide, just squeeze this together. And then just make a mark with your pen. Like I say, just give yourself a few mil from this edge. So let me just mark that now. So I've just made my pen mark. And then what you'll need to do is just snip this off with some scissors. And then just place that back inside your book, just making sure that it hasn't gone right to the end, and it hasn't. So you can now measure this with the other part. So take the other side of your stick, align this up here. You can make them out with your pen or just squeeze it together like I do and just go straight down with your scissors. That is now going to give you the top and the bottom part of your book. So this is as far as we've got. So you've got one for the bottom and one for the top. So you can now run some tacky glue just along this edge here, just to start with, just so it adheres to the inside of your book. So we can cut this piece, sorry, this piece, she was out short again, next. So for ease, I'm just going to use my glue gun for this, because like I say, your books can get really messy if you want to, but like I say, if you want a really neat edge like this, you will need to use your tacky glue. So I'm just going to just run my glue gun just along there and then push that into the corner. So I've just attached that inside there. And then let me do the other one. Let me just run some glue around this edge just to show you. Like I say, once you get all your paint inside this, you can make it as messy as you like. So just place that inside there and then just squeeze it around while your glue is still wet. So you should have some sort of like stick stuck up like this. So now what we're going to do is just measure from here to here, which we should be able to use one stick for these books. So that is going to sit on this edge here, and that is going to sit on this edge here. So just make a little pen mark just where it ends with your stick, and then just trim that off. I'm just going to show you this bit. So just squeeze it between your fingers, line it up the best you can, and then just make a mark with your pen. This camera's terrible, isn't it, for close-ups? And then just trim this piece off. And then now you should have a strip that goes overlapping these pieces here. Oh, it's a bit fiddly. There we go. Obviously I can't hold it all in line yet, but you know where I'm going with this. So now what you will need to do is just attach these again with your tacky glue or your glue gun. Just keep your book open for now, and then just line up your sticks, placing your glue on the joins. So don't put them inside, you want to go over the top. That's just going to support it a lot better. So over the top, not on the inner part. So I'm just going to show you. So you should now have a little box inside. I use my glue gun. So you're obviously running your glue gun on the top of your sticks and then placing this over the top. So once you have done all that, what you'll need to do now is just run your tacky glue or your glue gun along this edge and flip that down. Fold this over and do the same. Then you're going to sandwich this together. So once you flip your book together, if you haven't got this square to your spine, you might have an over part of your book at the back. Don't worry about that, just get your scissors and then just trim it in line with this front piece here. You'll know what I mean if you folded it. Obviously this has gone pretty square. But like I say, you might have a little bit of excess if you haven't folded it correctly into the spine. Just run it off. Just trim it, like I say, just keep it level with this part and then just trim off this back piece. So I'm now going to go ahead, use exactly the same method with my other two books, and then I'll be back. My books are now built. I haven't painted any of this yet. I'm going to show you that just after we've built these. So the next books you will get in your kit is a smaller version of two of these. You will also find two inserts, which are going to go inside the book. Now, one is slightly bigger than the other. So just make sure you have the right print to fit. That piece of glue is really annoying me. There we go. Inside your book. So if you don't want to use these inside, you will need just to get a little strip of cardstock. They're really fiddly, so this is why I've created this instead of sort of like doing the 3D like we have done on these. So take your print, make sure it's the right way up and your book is the right way up. Fold this inside your book. And then all I'm going to do is just run my glue gun just along this spine here. Let me just do that now. And then I'm going to place this inside. Line it up. And then when you fold it over, if you have, again, any white excess, coming off your book, you can obviously trim that off. And that is just sort of like give you a little open book with a page. So this one fits this one, so let's do that again. Fold this in half, run your glue gun or tacky glue. I would use your glue gun for this. It's going to be so much easier and quicker for you. Place this in the middle. And then fold that over. So obviously if you've got any white bits, like I said previously, you can cut those off. I do end up keeping these because by the time I've added the paint, it sort of like blends everything in. But again, it's completely up to you. So just glue in just on that corner. Like I say, it just gives you a couple of open books. So obviously we are going to be making a mess inside here to blend everything in with some paint. And the little ones are as easy as that. You will get 2 of each, so I've just gone ahead and built those. So you'll get 4 small books with your inserts, and then 3 of your bigger ones. So now we put all those together, we're just going to get out some paint and obviously make these a little bit older. So I've just put some paint in a little pot that I found. So I've gone in with some raw umber. That's one that we have painted the whole frame with so far. I've got some dark brown. It's a little bit lighter than that one. And some white. These are just Art Studio acrylic paints. I've also got myself a little tissue and a paintbrush. Let me just grab a paintbrush. So what colour you do the inside of your books is completely up to you. You might want to keep them white. However, because we're going quite dark with the frame, I want it really messy, you know, sort of like blend in some colours. So to do that, what I'm going to do is just pick up some of these colours, just to give myself a couple of different shades of brown. Obviously, I'm going to keep the white as well, keep the dark. And then what you'll need to do now is just paint the inner part of your book. I'm going to go up there, make it all messy. Go down here. Like I say, I'm going to drag it over the front as well. Cover all the white. And then just keep dipping into my paints, maybe a little bit darker. And just have a play about, just to make the books look really old. So I'm going to show you this one, and I'll show you the smaller one, what I do. So I'm not being neat at all. Maybe a little bit of darker on the inner part. So we're basically just covering all the wood. We're making our books. Like I say, the streaks will come out because obviously we've used wood just to add to the effect. So we're basically just covering all the inner part of our cardstock. So don't worry if you go over the edges, like I say, it adds to the effect. And then obviously once it's dry, it will dry matte. So you can have a play about with loads of different paints. Once that's dry, you might want to, obviously mine's not dry yet, but you might want to dip in with some white and just put, you know, an extra layer over the top. Just to make it look a little bit streaky like this. So just run your brush over your paint when it's a little bit drier than mine. And that'll just sort of like give you the white effect in your book. So I'll obviously do the other 3 similar to this. And then for these ones, what I'm going to do is open up this because I don't like the white. It's far too white for this frame. And again, just use these brown paints that I've mixed. And I'm just going to just rub that all inside, just covering all that white cardstock. Don't mind, again, if it just goes over the edge. Maybe dip into some darker colours and just blend it all together. Like I say, you can be as messy as you like with this frame. It all adds to the effect. So I'm just going to do the white pieces. And then flip it this way. Do some more on the back. All on this part as well. And then if I've got any white showing, I will flip this over and just run along the rims as well. So I'm just going to carry on painting these just as messy as I've just showed you. I'm going to let everything dry before I start gluing these into my frame. So I'm just going to carry on doing all this messy method, running my brush, covering all the white. Let those dry, and then we'll be back. I've now painted all my books. They are still drying. So I have used my tissue just to wipe off any excess of my brush. Just so, you know, if you want to go in with a lighter colour and you've got too much dark on there, it's just easier just to sort of like wipe that off if you're wondering what the tissue was about. I've gone inside my books and I've gone really messy, as you can see. So these are nearly dry. I'm going to keep all this paint to the side because we're going to use that later on just to sort of blend out our other little cardstock prints that we have. So next I'm going to show you how to build some little candles. This was just a normal candle that you can get anywhere. And what I've done is I've just trimmed it off. It was a part of a long one. Just lit the top. Bent it this way with the flame just so all your wax goes down, and then just trimmed that off with my craft knife. You can also use white glue sticks. I'm going to show you this method next. Again, these will not be included in your kit, but I know a lot of you have already got these white glue sticks. You can find these in mixed bags on Amazon. So just like with your candle, just keep it long because obviously, you know, you don't want to be snipping it off to the sides and then burning your fingers trying to hold it. So keep everything long. Burn it down just like this and then trim that off. So it's going to be the same method with your white glue stick. Keeping it the length that it come in. What we're going to do first is just make this corner here so it just looks like the candle's melted. We're just going to trim this part off with a craft knife. That's just going to give you the angle. Next, you're going to pop your craft knife just in the top, just to make a hole, or your end of your scissors. And then for the wick, what you will need to do is just grab a cocktail stick, just trim this part off here. And then you're going to pop this inside the hole. So just push that in, the pointed edge. You might have to obviously make your hole a little bit deeper. So just twist that in there. And then just trim off the top of your wick. Just so you get it to the length that you want. And then again, keeping it long. What you're going to do now is you're going to use your normal glue gun. And you're just going to start dripping some glue. Oops, out of focus again. Just down this edge here. So just go up and down. Be as messy as you like. Obviously, if you've got your white glue stick already in your glue gun, you can obviously use your white. So let me just drip some bits over that now. So just like this, just gone roughly down with my glue gun. So now just to cover this, what I'm going to do is just go over just with some white acrylic paint. Like this. And then to to make the wick look dark, like it's been burnt, just get yourself some black acrylic paint. I'll just dip my little brush in there. And you're just going to paint the top of your little wick. So, like I say, it makes it so much easier keeping hold of this. If you've got the larger, you know, the wider sticks, if you've got the bigger glue gun, you can obviously make some different sizes. You know, do some tall ones, short ones, glue them onto a little plate if you want to. I'm just going to add these to my shelves. So once you've done that, I'm just going to wipe off some of the excess. And then I'm just going to start sort of dragging some of this down while my paint is still wet, just to make the candle look like it's burnt. They're so effective, really fun to make. So you can go ahead and make loads of them, all different sizes. Like say you can use a normal candle, your white glue stick, or a larger white glue stick as well. If you've only got clear, you can obviously do exactly the same method as this and just paint the whole thing with your white acrylic paint. So I'm just going to let that dry and then I'll snip that off. And then I'll probably do a few more, some taller ones and maybe some shorter ones using the same method. I'm just going to let these dry. The original one that I showed you, which was the normal birthday candle, I've just gone over again just with some acrylic paint just to make that a little bit darker. So the other prints you're going to get in your kit, I'm just going to run through these quickly because you can obviously put these wherever you like. So this is a huge kit. You get so much in here. That one's gone bigger, and then obviously you're going to get a cauldron as well. The original design, I put this in the middle. I might go over in this corner somewhere. Sorry you couldn't see that. Let me just slip you back up. So the original design I went in the middle. This one I might go in the corner or not use it at all, but obviously that is going to be included. So you'll get all these prints as well as all your books and all your bottles. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to wait for these to dry, and then I'm just going to start building this back cabinet here between the shelving. I'm going to add a couple of little candles, maybe a couple of books, just fill that out, and then we're going to concentrate on this bottom part with the larger books. This is as far as I've got. My little handles are now dry. I do like the effect on the top with the lighter wood. If you don't like that effect, you can obviously just dip your paintbrush just to cover these edges. Obviously that's where it's been cut. I've chose this sign to go in the middle, glued a couple of candles in and my books, and then just use the same webbing that you're going to get in your kit with my glue gun. Just tapped it like we did it on the previous step, just using a tool sort of like to drag all that down. It's looking rather nice, shall we say. I did use my glue gun to attach all this because obviously you get the string from the glue gun as well, and everything gets covered. Again, you don't have to wait for it to dry. These are the glue stick candles that we created. If you are using your wax candles, your glue gun will not stick, so you will need to use your tacky glue on the bottom of those. So next you will find a cauldron. Now it's completely up to you if you want to add this. I'm just going to bring the previous frame into shot. So on the previous one I added it down here. So you can, just like we did with the candy floss machine, you can trim this off if you want to, or just keep it as it is. These little handles that you see on the side are your brackets. So what you'll need to do is just bend this in half and then pop your glue gun or your tacky glue on these handles, curl it around and then pop that into place. I'm just showing you this just in case I don't use it. You've now obviously trimmed off this top, and then once that is dry on your frame, you can get all your stuff in. Just use a cocktail stick, start pushing it inside, use a little bit of tacky glue on the back, and then obviously these balls, I don't have any more of these. These are just clear beads. If you want to add those, you can purchase these on Amazon or anywhere if you just type in pearlized beads. And then that's how your cauldron sits. So like I say, this is exactly the same as the one we are building now. It's just hasn't got the cabinets. So we're back onto the one that we are building. Like I say, you can see the complete difference just by adding these cabinets, you know, just with the shelving in place. So if you do end up with a couple of these kits, you might want to do the first one with all the glue drips and then obviously do this one as well. So this last part here, I have just stuck my labels onto these. So I'm going to fill these the same as the ones that we did in the previous step. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to put there in there yet. I've still got 2 little books. I've also got the 3 larger books that we built earlier. And then obviously all my prints. So if you are wanting your prints in a corner, let me just show you. Just to bend this around, pop your glue gun underneath, and then just squeeze that into place. So I'll probably put one over in this corner. And then I'll probably choose maybe this one for this corner. Like say you might have gone for a cauldron in this corner or in the middle. I'm thinking to maybe put my books inside here. So again, I'm going to use my glue gun for all of this. So maybe do maybe a stack in the middle here somewhere. I've got a couple of bottles, so I could maybe have one either side. So I'm just going to have a play about. I've still got these little books as well. And then I'm going to keep some prints to go on the outer part of my frame. So I'm going to sort of start layering all this bottom piece. And then I will be back with the finished result. I'm not quite finished yet, so it's not the finished result. However, what I've done, these bottles here, I've literally just gone in with some green paint and black paint and just swirled it around my glass, and then just took my paint over the top as well. They are quite big bottles, so I didn't want to cover the whole thing in resin, just like we did with the smaller ones. So they turned out perfect. I've glued, again, I've just used my glue gun, attached these to the back. Use my glue gun underneath both signs. Pop my glue gun underneath this book. Made sort of like a little triangle with that. Attached all these again with my glue stick, or glue gun should we call it. I've decided on this top piece here. So with my webbing, what I'm going to do is just run it just along, you know, inside the book, around, just to sort of like fill out this bottom piece so all the little cobwebs tie in. Just starting on this bottom piece, I've just unplugged it, so I have to be really quick. So what I'm going to do is just pop some glue gun on there. Just use any flat tool. And then just squish that onto your webbing. Like I say, I'm just going to show you a little bit. And then just take your scissors and just keep trimming this off. And obviously you can tease this as well, just so you get it where it is, or where you want it, shall we say. And then for the middle of the book, again, I'm just going to pop some glue gun inside, take some webbing, stick that down inside there, trim that piece off. Pull it down. Because obviously it's webbing, it will, you know, you don't need to glue absolutely everything down. You can just tease it, pull it along your books, and then any bits that you've got like this, just pop another bit of glue underneath, and then just drag that over. Just little things like this that I really want to cover, just so you can see how I do it. Pop a little bit of glue on here. Like I say, just start filling out all your little edges. So I want some up here. Pull that down. Trim any excess off. Then I'm going to do the same on this corner, just by adding my glue gun. And then just sort of like spreading that webbing about. This is where I put all my webbing. I've just used my glue gun just on the top. You don't have to, like I say, it will tease out. So just put your glue where you want it and then just pull that down. I've wrapped that along my sign. So the last part I want to do is just go back in with the paint that we used previously. And I'm just going to get a thin brush and just run away, along these little edges, along here, just to sort of like blend the colours together. You might want to miss this step, but it really does add to the effect. And then I certainly will be back with the finished result. We are back with the finished result. So I just dipped in with my paint, the previous paint that we mixed. Just went along all the edges, being really rough. Again, you know, if you've got too much paint on your brush, just wipe that off. Use some water if need be, just to sort of spread everything out. So this is what I've done with my paint. I didn't end up using the cauldron. However, obviously you might want to put yours in the centre or in the corner. I really hope you enjoyed the build, and I will see you all soon. Goodbye, everybody.